Welcome to Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly. This is primarily a drone show. We'll be sharing adventures from all over the world. We hope to have interesting guests every week, and we're glad that you tuned in tonight. We'll be flying different drones in different locations. We encourage viewer participation in the chat. If you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. Every week we'll have another interesting guest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We'll be sharing various adventures by our guests as well as myself. And thank you for joining us tonight. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly Live. It's Monday night, and I'm glad you're all here. I really appreciate it. You taking the time out to watch this live stream. It means a lot to me. It does. And if you saw the Facebook post and the promo, I got a great guest on tonight. And it takes a lot to get these great guests. Really. They're busy, first of all, and they're in demand. They want to, the guys want them on their live streams, and you really got to schedule them. It's hard sometimes, and I've been turned down a couple of times. But Tom Dowling, he's one of the best in this drone community. He's got a lot of experience flying drones, and we're going to let him briefly talk about that. I know most of you know his story already, but I know we have a few new people in the live stream, and you're going to be impressed with Tom's background, really. And he's got that Air 3 too, so maybe he'll show it to us. I hope so. But anyway, I ended up getting out and flying last week, and I went to one of my secret spots. But before I end up talking about that, I gotta say hello to everybody in the chat already. And Trucker Steve, he was number one. Good to see you, Steve. I guess you're down in Florida. I saw a comment about that. And Angel, Drone Guy 42, he was right behind him. And Paul Wedgenbig, good to see you, Paul. And again, you had another great show last night. And again, thank you for including my photo and your best of the rest. And you had great guests on too, by the way. Yeah, it was just a great show. But anyway, JC Flying, John Carroll, he was right there, right behind them all. And John's one of the biggest supporters of this channel and the Fly for Fun show, and we really appreciate that. And he's watching all the way down in North Carolina. And I'm going up the list, and I know if I go too fast, I'll miss somebody. And we got Joe, Jaybird Drone. Good to see you. He's watching out in Ohio. And it's always good to see Joe. Anyway, John Bonafont's watching tonight. And how you doing, John? Good to see you. And see, I went too fast. I missed Dusty, East Coast Thrills. How you doing? He's watching down in Florida, on the west coast of Florida. And then we got Al, South Florida Drone Flies. He's in the chat. And he's got a big night tomorrow night. He's going to be covering the National Night Out with the police department down there in Margate. So I'm looking forward to that. And he had a successful meetup this past weekend up in Fort Pierce. So I was glad to see that. And then I see John, Connecticut Pirates, watching tonight. How you doing, John? Good to see you. And Sergeant Rock, good to see you. How you doing? And I said John Bonifant already, I think. Yep. And DJ Gone Wild, how you doing? Good to see you. And let's see. And I saw Alan, Drone Views Media. I saw his name. And I'll be showing a little bit of Alan's latest video a little later, because he flies over there in Ireland, and I love it. I love the countryside in Ireland, and tell you, if anybody gets a chance, be sure you go visit Ireland. It's one of the most beautiful countries I've been to, really. Um, and let's see, Captain Joe's watching tonight, and he had a little meetup with Johnny Drone Flyer, and it was good to see those guys flying again together. And Fly Guy Merrill, how you doing? Good to see you. And John, Flying Finland Media, how you doing? I got your shirt on, John, and thank you again. And Lee, Yellow Rose Drones, how you doing? Good to see you, Lee. He's watching down in Texas. Marcelo Masayuki, how you doing? And he's watching in Japan, if I remember right. How you doing? Good to see you. And Brian, Waypoint, New England, how you doing? But anyway, Mad Props is in the house. How you doing? And Bud Beaver's watching. How you doing, Bud? I know it takes some time to do this, guys, but just bear with me because I think it's important. I remember when people would shout out my name way back at the beginning, and I was very, very happy about that. So Keith Russell's watching. How you doing, Keith? Good to see you. And Chris Bradley, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, Chris, yeah. Okay. How you doing? I'm going to make you blue right now. And I hope you're enjoying those kayak paddles. Yeah. But anyway, did I say hello to Brian B-Mac? How you doing, Brian? Good to see you. He's watching down in Texas. That's what's great about this live stream. You know, you got people watching all over the world, really. And it's great. It really is. And I see Johnny Drofly is watching. How you doing, Johnny? I talked about you and Captain Joe flying together before. Good to see you. And I tell you, I got to say thank you again. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And Monday night's a busy night, you know. It's a good lineup on. And I don't want to keep Tom in the back room too long because I know he's enjoying the shrimp and lobster back there. But I am going to show a little. No. I'm going to bring him in first. Let me bring Tom in first, and I want you all to give a warm welcome to Tom Dowling, also known as LensCaptureOnline. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Ray. How are you?
How
hey,
you
everyone
doing?
in the chat.
And
Doing
Tom's
good,
coming
Ray.
all the way from Nevada, Henderson,
Nevada,
right? Tom?
baby. Henderson, Nevada, one of the suburbs of Las Vegas.
Yeah, and it's good to see you. You know, um, you and I, got to fly together a few times.
Yeah,
and
I was fortunate to be able to get some time with the captain there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I was so impressed with your background. You know, you were in charge or deputy chief of the robotics unit on the.
Well, I was
correct.
I was the deputy bureau chief in charge of technologies, and the robotics team was actually something called a command tactical unit, and it wasn't getting its due at all. They were barely on borrowed time at that point. And so I wielded a little bit of muscle on the technology side and started getting them outfitted with the right product for the job.
Right.
And also to basically, I was the evangelist of robotics in the department, trying to get upper management, the commissioner level and the chief of department, chief of ops, chief of special ops, getting that crew on board and understanding the value of using UAVs in the public safety sector. So it was an effort, but some great people. I mean, Captain Mike Leo, who is the commanding officer of the unit from day one, and the other day with the crane fire in Manhattan,
Right.
again the team really shined, and to see some great people out there. John Melendez, if you watched any of the news, you notice he had the CT1 helmet on, and he was at the command post, making sure that they had eyes on some of that aerial video. Really came in handy, especially with those hose streams across the avenue, trying to get water up there. The team was actually directing those water streams,
Okay.
so that was pretty impressive. And they had to keep the heat down as much as possible, so they didn't burn away the platform that was holding the entire engine and all, which that would have been a lot more significant coming down than the boom was.
Now,
So,
did you think it was going to go down? Go down?
well,
Watching it,
it's
or did you watch it after it like me?
I watched most of it afterwards. I had
Yeah.
somebody reach out to me. I had Eddie Nunez reaching out to me, and then I had a couple of friends on the job who reached out, and I got to see some of the behind the scenes video. The team was
Hey,
impressive.
Darren.
It's a tall order. People don't realize it's not just a matter of launching the drones, which they basically had to set up an LZ and they had to launch them. But you have multiple hose streams up there, so
Yeah.
you have to stay out of the fray, but at the same time, keeping in the right position, and also deconfliction. Making sure there weren't any other drones that might impact their ability to fly in the area. So,
Right.
there was a lot to do for them, and the incident commander on scene really relied heavily on that extra intelligence they were getting from the team. So it was
Yeah.
really good to see that this stuff pays off. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was watching it, and it was, I said, "Wow, look at this," and next thing you know, it went down, and there were no fatalities, and there weren't
Well,
hardly any
the
injuries.
construction crews were amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So the fire started uh, up in the crane, and it was in the engine area, and the crane operator, did his best to try to fight the fire while he was up there, and then had to abandon that position. But all
Yeah.
the time, all that time, communicating with the crews on the ground, so they basically stopped the traffic and all. Uh, and if you notice from some of the original video, you see one of the first responding FDNY units, a battalion chief in a Suburban, had to swerve out of the way of the crane coming down.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
all happening at the same time there. So the crews were on scene. First arriving units were on scene in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a situation! And
So I didn't
four
know this, Tom. I
four
didn't know this,
four
but
civilian.
you went to the same high school as John Carroll, huh? Aviation
Oh,
High.
look at that! Look at that!
Yeah.
Aviation High School in Long Island City, Queens. Okay, a lot of things I choose to forget about that era. Okay, it's getting in trouble every other day in Aviation High School was just a blast. Okay.
So now let me ask you this: do you miss the job at all, or?
Oh yeah, I missed the job, but
Mhm.
I got a bunch of friends on the job that reach out constantly. Uh,
Yeah.
to give me a little bit of the behind the scenes. I did it for a little over 40 years. So,
Right. Right.
it's an extended family. But there's a lot of things I don't miss about the job, right? I, I avoid crowds like the,
Well,
okay. Uh, I would rather be out in the wilderness than walking up the Las Vegas Strip, which we never do. It's like a New Yorker going to Times Square.
yeah, same thing.
Okay, it's
Yep.
pretty rare. Uh,
Right.
so we usually go to the strip just to steal friends off the strip for a day and get them out, from that environment and out in the rest of the area, which is just drop dead gorgeous. I mean, what a
Well, I'll
it's a
tell you,
target
I'm happy
target
for
rich
you.
environment, target rich out here.
You seem like you're really enjoying your retirement, and that's great.
Well, the thing is, I don't know where I had time to work, Ray. I mean, so damn busy in retirement. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. They do. Yeah. But anyway, I gotta say congratulations to you because you ended up getting this new DJI AF3. And I
Yep,
know you got
that morning watching you guys on what was it, Drone Nation, I think.
Drone Nation. Yeah.
Yeah. I wound up getting mine off of Best Buy. I actually got delivery like in a day from Best Buy.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
what was the only thing I had to put in a separate order with DJI for the filters. I'm still waiting for the filters. They're coming in another day. But yeah, I went to Best Buy and I saved myself some DJI Care refresh money because with Best Buy, those of you that don't know it, if you've bought an electronics at Best Buy and you've joined their Total
Hey,
Tech
Rob. How you doing, Rob?
membership, they cover the drone. So accidental damage. The only thing they don't cover is flyaway. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
See, now this
you
is
know,
good to know. This is good to know.
yeah, there are options out there. And you got companies like, I mean, if you're looking to get the drone in your hands like tomorrow morning, reach out to DroneWorks in Florida.
Right. They've
I
been
hear they're
shipping
like,
fast. I
they
saw that.
ship really quick. Yeah.
Eddie Nunez has his already. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
got it quick. But listen, Tom, not to cut you off, but I do have one of your latest videos queued up. So maybe
Oh,
we'll
cool.
show that and you can narrate over it. And because I was very impressed with it, just to let you know, really. Um, and now I just got to make sure that I queue up the right one. That's the thing. But man, I tell you, you were out in the desert and you were flying. Tell us.
Well, this is a spot we like to go out to. And if I'm going to test a brand new drone, I'm going to bring it out to Gene Dry Lake Bed because there's not much I can hit out there. So, in doing so, this is also where I bring my wife to drive the truck. Again, there's nothing you can hit out there. So my wife Roz is actually driving the Tundra. We got this Tundra back in March, so we could get a larger RV. But what a great spot! What a great spot! You know, she got to drive it around the desert floor. And,
Yeah, but look at that shot right there. Look at that shot with the sunset, right?
Yeah, you know, this is a very capable drone. In fact, I was trying to get my wife to drive a little quicker because the drone itself, I was getting this up to about 47, 48 miles per hour. And it handled so nicely, so nicely. And again, such a great spot. I try to go out there, during golden hour, and this is in the hour before sunset, so you get that nice
hour,
yeah, and especially kicking up the dust there. That dust just reflects all that light, so it really adds to it.
I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is.
Yeah, like I told you earlier, Ray, I'm hoping Toyota reaches out and they want a commercial deal. We can work out some rights,
Hey, you never know. Really, you never know.
But Roz had a great time driving.
Great job driving, I'll tell you that. Really.
This drone is,
it looks cool. It does.
I'm finding that the 1/1.3 is just a very capable sensor. The two stack sensors there, and getting that parallax effect on the 3-power, optical zoom is really nice.
Well,
so the next thing I really want to do is I want to try using spotlight mode, because spotlight mode actually, I was flying that manually, but spotlight mode I think you can really get some good shots with that. I just started playing with spotlight mode, and that it's a blast. And the other thing I love about this is also cruise control. So if I was trying to get out to a couple of spots to fly, and you got to hold down the stick and get it over there where you're looking to go. And this way, just getting up to speed and then hit my C2 button, and I can take my hand off the left stick and just focus on getting the shot I need. So that's really nice about it.
Hey,
the
Henry,
new controller,
watching. How you doing?
The new RC2, I had no breakup at all with this.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So 6 antennas now in this little beast.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 6
Transmit, 4
antennas.
receive. Yep.
Yep.
And the drone is, I mean, it's pretty hefty compared to, I mean, you put this next to
Hey Al,
an
how you
Air
doing,
2
Al?
or an Air 2S. It really it's much larger,
I mean, show
much
show it to
larger.
me. Show it to me again. It gets me excited
So
when I see it.
here it is. You do have to
Very
put the
nice.
legs out. You do have to put the legs out in a sequence. You know, front legs first.
Yeah. Right.
Uh,
Okay.
the battery. You know, I normally have. I
Hey,
For all
Deneen
my
is watching.
drones,
How you doing, Deneen?
I have 5 batteries for almost every one of my drones. I'm
5.
not sure
Okay.
that I need to buy in 2 more batteries with this one. Okay.
Well, the flight time
Uh,
is so long, right?
I've gotten so far. I've documented 40 minutes in flight time off of a battery. You know, when I was
Okay.
really tooling away in sports mode, I would say about 36, 37 minutes. Okay. So more than enough to get several flights in, you know.
Yeah. Sure.
The I'm waiting for my ND filters because I would like to slow the shutter down a little bit, especially with the video. I'm finding the images to be very, very clean. Very little need to do any denoise on them at all. And
It's quieter, right? It's a lot quieter.
it's well, I would say it's definitely quieter than an Air 2. It's not as quiet as a Mini 3 Pro. And it's quieter than a Mavic 3 because I had a friend with a Mavic 3 fly next to it, and it was definitely a difference. The Mini 3 Pro, I mean, that's a great little drone itself, also. But this is definitely a daily flyer for me now.
Good. Good.
Really
I'm happy
enjoying
for
them.
you,
Yeah,
and
really
all the
enjoying them.
best with it. Really.
Thank you.
I know
Thank you.
you'll put it to good use.
I'm doing my best, Ray. I'm doing my best.
But you know, Tom, I mean, you're a professional photographer. You know, we talked a little bit about your fire department career, but you've been in the photography business for a long, long time, right? How did you get started with that? Because I
I
know
got
that's an
actually
interesting story.
I got started in the Navy with it. You know, I had a situation where in an air crew, we had taken up a photographer's mate off the carrier to get some PR shots. And he was definitely afraid of heights. So sitting by the open bay of the chopper was not his cup of tea, we'll say.
Mhm.
But he still had to produce some product. So he turned around and he handed me, you know, a Nikon body, one of the original F series bodies.
Okay.
And he asked me to take some shots for him because if he got back down to the deck and he didn't have anything to give to the chief, he'd be in big trouble. So I went ahead and I you know, banged off some shots. You know, trying to look through that viewfinder and figure out, hey, what would look nice. I started to enjoy that, but about 3 or 4 days later, he woke me up in my rack on board ship, and he handed me a bag with a camera body and 2 lenses,
Yep.
and he said, "You got to start just shooting stuff when you know." And it was great because it broke up the monotony of things.
Oh, sure.
But then when I got out and I got on the job, you know, sometimes your work schedules can be very advantageous to an alternate life. Okay, and you know, I started doing it professionally. Really loved landscape and wildlife. In fact, that's what I'm getting back to. Those were my roots. But throughout my career, I've done everything from you know, advertising photography to, you know, some major billboards in New York City, and to weddings.
Hey,
And I was
DeMarco, how you
actually
doing?
professionally trained in boudoir photography. So uh, my wife and I had
Now,
a business
yeah,
doing
tell us
boudoir
about that.
photography.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, you know, doing weddings, well, I kept on raising my prices, and I wasn't after about 5 years of shooting weddings solo. I made a promise to myself I'd never do that again. So You know,
Right.
I had a couple of second shooters that would always work with me, and my wife would be our photo assistant. And I was getting really tired of it, so I kept on raising my prices, and unfortunately, that brought me more and more business, and to the point where we were interviewing couples. They weren't interviewing us anymore.
Right.
Uh, but
That's
you know,
great.
brides, and mothers of bridezillas really can be a very taxing uh, career. So I got out of that, and I had a studio at home in Queens, really nice studio, and I had a finished basement, typical Queens. You know, I had my finished basement that rivaled most Irish pubs, and decided I switched over to continuous lighting. I had these rails up on the ceiling that I could move lights around, and so I actually went to Arizona and I studied under Kay Eskridge, who's a world-renowned boudoir photographer. And with my wife and myself, we started this thing called Girls Night Out. So what it was basically, think of it this way: a Tupperware party for photography. Okay,
Interesting.
so we always used to, you know, women. When you ask women, you know, hey, would you like a professional photo session? They're always like, oh, I don't photograph well. Oh, I don't think because they haven't been photographed professionally. I mean, today
Right.
all you have is, you know, Instagram filters you can throw on everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But my whole thing was it didn't matter how young, how old, okay, shapes or sizes. Every woman is beautiful, and being able to present that. And so what was nice about it was, you know, one woman would bring over four of her friends. Okay. So that woman was like the hostess. They'd come over with a bottle of wine or something, come down to the basement. I had a streaming camera up in the studio down to the big flat screen downstairs. We showed like a 5-minute video of our work. And then we played a quick game of chance, because the big problem I realized right away was who was going first. That could take
Okay. Yeah.
a good half hour for them to decide. So instead, it was a roll of the dice. Okay. And the hostess would call low or high, and that's the order. And my wife worked as the wrangler, basically. So I went up to the studio, set up. You know, the camera was tethered. So I had a huge flat screen in my little office area of the studio. So I could look at shots there as they were posing. And I would do a flow posing. I'd give them 15 minutes. My wife would bring one up, do 15 minutes in the studio. Same music was playing upstairs, that was playing down stairs for them. And the other girls downstairs would get to watch. 15 minutes would go by. I'd say, okay, you know, my wife would be right there with
Next.
the next
Next.
one. And they'd be like, oh, no, not yet. Oh, come on. That was too much fun. You know, leave them wanting
Nice.
for a little more. And then at the end of the night, they'd all come up and I'd shoot a quick group shot. They'd go back downstairs, and my wife had them all sign model releases. So, you
Hmm.
know, we would put the images up in a password protected for each woman. We put them up in a little protected gallery. And then what I did was I took that group shot. I had a photo printer, and I made 5 of those and put them in a nice gift folio. And on the
Nice.
back had credentials for each girl individual. So they could then go up to the site a few days later and pick out one shot. They'd usually be 5 shots I'd put up there. I'd usually get about 40, 45 shots out of a flow posing session. And I throw 5 shots I do some post on. And you don't want to overdo post, because what happens is women will look at themselves and go, oh, wow, I look great. But when they show it to their
You can.
girlfriends, and their girlfriends go, oh, that's not you. You know, you don't want
Oh,
that. You want their girlfriend saying, oh my God, you look gorgeous.
right.
Okay.
Of course.
So I would pull that off pretty well, right? You know, and
Oh, that's
it
great.
was just such a tough career looking through a viewfinder at beautiful women. It really
I
was
know.
really
I
tough
know.
and
I'm telling
taxing,
you.
you know. But what would happen is they would each get to pick an image from online, and it would be delivered to them in an 8 by 10 in a nice little gift box, because I had White House Color was doing my drop shipping for me, and they were the back end for my galleries. So it was a real brainless operation for me, basically.
No,
And a
it's
lot of
great.
times they would order additional images or additional
Sure.
packages.
Of
Okay.
course.
And then the woman that was the hostess for that night would get to schedule a mini diva session and come back for an
Hey,
hour
Ashley.
session. Okay. And then so for that session, about 2 weeks prior to that session, we'd send them an email like, hey, you get a little web gallery with about 15 images in it. But if you'd like a package where you get an album, you get this, you get that,
Yeah,
it's going to be
sure.
this. And we had a basically a 71% upsell on
Great.
those.
That's
So, you
fantastic.
know, it was
What
a
a
good,
success story.
yeah,
Hey,
it was,
Michael
it was a
Besky,
lot of
how you
fun.
doing?
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
And having my wife be involved, of course, then it wasn't some lecherous, male photographer there. You know, it was she
right,
was involved in it too, and the women really enjoyed it. I had a great time, and we had women coming back 4 or 5 times with 4 new women each time. So the
right.
exposure was great, where we weren't even advertising at that point.
That's great.
So
It is.
it was good. We let that go on for about 5, 6 years, and uh, I got bored with the revenue stream, and because we were actually just going into COVID at that point, and so it really wasn't going to play for us. So that's when we basically stopped it. And of course, just around that time, also, going through COVID, I started to decide, hey, maybe it's time to cash my ticket in on the job.
Yeah.
So, you
But
know,
this is a drone show, so people want to know how you got involved with drones.
well,
Tell
being a
us what your first
photographer,
drone was.
so being a photographer, uh, one thing I love nature and landscape, right? So the first drone was a Phantom 2.
Okay, Phantom 2.
Okay. And I had to strap a GoPro to it. And it gave me a new point of view. Now, I
Right.
wasn't one of those guys like all my buddies that got into it at that point. I think the big thing was how high can you fly? So,
Okay.
people doing 3,500, 4,000 feet, 4,500. And
Well,
I'm
you were a
I'm thinking to
photographer.
myself,
You were a
yeah, I'm
professional
think right.
photographer.
I'm thinking to myself, man, when I look out a plane window, you look and it's like amazing, but it gets old real quick. So my whole thing was looking at things a
Hey,
lot
Michael
lower
Blade, how you doing?
with a unique point of view. See, that's what I love about photography, Ray,
It is.
is I get the honor of sharing split seconds of my experiences with others. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And so drones gave me that
Hey,
opportunity.
Ronnie.
So yeah, the Phantom 2 was the first bird I had. So,
Good.
figured what 2012? Yeah, 2012, 2013, I think it was.
Okay, that's when you
You know.
started? Yep.
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
Hope's in the
And
house. How you doing, Chris?
hey, Chris. And so from there, uh, I'm a uh, I'm an early adopter. Okay. Um, I love the new technology. Uh, and I needed to put my hands on something bigger, something larger. And it was DJI kept on coming out with something. I was
Right.
getting close to buying that GoPro, but luckily I did not pull the trigger on that one, which was good.
No, that was a total flop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the first Mavic that came out, boy, was that a game changer. Okay, right there, that was a game changer. And then the Phantom 4 Pro, uh, still one of the sweetest drones out there.
Yep. That's what
You
I
know,
started with
yeah. So that's a great,
when I got
great drone.
serious. That is.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I missed I played a lot with those, walking through Roosevelt Field Mall, Ray, and seeing the youngsters standing there at Brookstone, flying the little mini helicopters and making it look so easy, and getting
I
at
know.
home and crashing it
And
into
you crashed
everything
it.
in the living room, right?
Yep.
I didn't buy into too much of that. I did that like once or twice, and it was like, yeah, I'm not interested. But
Oh,
yeah, that
Chris Hope
first
loves his
Phantom.
Phantom 4. He loves his Phantom 4.
Yeah, now unfortunately you got to go get yourself an RID module for that, right? So,
Yeah. But
yeah,
you
I
you
enjoyed it.
switched over to FPV, and that I found that very interesting.
Well, not as quickly as some of my friends wanted me to switch over. Okay. Uh,
Well, when we had that Brooklyn meetup, that's obviously I had met you up in Rhode Island before that,
yeah, Yeah.
And then we had the Brooklyn meetup, or vice versa. No, I met you in Brooklyn
No,
first, then we went up to
and
Rhode
then we
Island.
went up there.
But you
Yep.
you
Yep.
had
Yep.
the DJI FPV, and
Right.
I was pretty impressed with it when you whipped that out, and you had the
Yeah,
motion
and
controller.
with the motion controller, I know.
Yeah,
And it's funny because I get a lot of my friends still laugh at me with the motion controller because I'm that guy leaning against the building with one hand in your pocket and the other hand on the motion controller, just relaxing there, right? And you know, that was fun. Okay. But you know, a bunch of my friends wanted me to start way before then. And one thing I did not want to do was the same thing I didn't want to do with cameras. I didn't want to build a camera. I wanted to use a camera. Okay.
right. You're a
And
photographer.
and and the problem I saw with FPV before DJI got in the game was you got to build, you got to tinker, you got to then go out and bash it into something and repair it and figure out, you know, the rates and all that. And I was like, yeah, I don't have time for that. So of course, when the DJI FPV came out, I jumped on that right away. Okay, and with the DJI Care refresh,
And that,
okay,
yep,
you know, I could get a little loose with it. We'll say, okay,
right.
but I got to say, one of my favorites is the Avata. I just
I
love
know
that thing.
you switched over to
I
the new
love that thing to
Avata.
no end. I love that thing. And that camera's great on the Avata. And then you
It is.
couple
It
the
seems to
Avata,
be.
you turn off electronic image stabilization on it and you fly it. And then you bring it in and bring it into a product like GyroFlow. And man, it's amazing, you know, the footage you get out of that. And I love flying super
We got a
low.
question here, Tom, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to answer it before it goes by. The way I understand the Mini 2, yeah, you'll have to get a module for that. I'm pretty
If
sure.
if you're
But it's
flying it
under
above 250.
249, so no, you don't need it. If it's under 249, unless you got the extended battery, right? That puts it
Well,
over.
Well, the one thing I would say, Ray, to that is remember that the extended battery was hard to get initially.
Okay.
So most people in the States here, at least, that own that Mini 2 are flying with extended batteries.
Right.
So be careful because that does put you over the 250. And
I
if
don't
you're
think
over the
anybody's going to be
250,
checking weight and all of that, though.
yeah, no, I don't think so either. But of course, according to the regs, and that's the only thing I'll state is above the 250, it's got to be registered and it's got to have an RID module.
And we got a question from Steve down in Florida, South Florida Drone Services. Tom, does that FDNY use drones like in the crane collapse? Yeah.
Yeah, so the FDNY now has a full-time robotics team, and that robotics team responds citywide to all 5 boroughs. You know, New York City, Manhattan, and the 5 outer boroughs: Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. And they're made up right now, I believe, of 20 responders, 5 officers at the rank of lieutenant, and the CO of the group is a captain, Mike Leo. And
Yep.
they respond to all second alarms and above, or when special called by the incident commander on the scene. The group started basically with just a tethered drone. Unfortunately, the tethered drone could caused more problems than it was worth, took longer to get up than the operation actually lasted. So once they started getting some Mavics in hand and then enterprise editions with thermal imaging cameras, they would the real way we pushed it to the job was force protection, taking care and keeping eyes on our own members, especially when you have members operating on the roof. You know, New York City has to be very aggressive in firefighting because of both population and building density. So there's a position on the truck companies that's called the OV. That member will be up on the roof with a K-12 saw, cutting openings to vent.
Yep.
So at a large scale incident, you can have upwards of 8 to 12 members operating on a smoky roof. So the incident commander down on the ground couldn't keep eyes on those people. And an officer up on the roof line, again, is limited to what they can see wearing a self-contained breathing apparatus in a smoky environment. So by putting up these drones with thermal imaging, you see everyone. You
Right.
see right through that smoke. But more importantly, what you see is you see heat signatures below the roof line, so that you can move members out of harm's way. And there have already accounts of members being saved because the use
Saved,
of
right? Saving lives.
saving lives. And
Yeah.
it you know, we first responders do no good if they themselves become injured. Okay.
Exactly.
So this was promoted to keep members safe, but it wasn't just UAVs. It wasn't just aerial drones. It was a waterway robot named Emily that you could toss in the water and direct out to a victim. The victim
Right.
could grab onto Emily while you effected the rescue.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Emily also had side scanning sonar because the waterways below surface in New York City are riddled with hazards. So you would be able to throw Emily in the water and with her side scanning sonar, basically map out those hazards before you put your divers in.
That's great.
Then, of course, ground robots. And the famous one is the one that looks like a Dalmatian because we skinned
Right.
it to look that
Yeah.
way. Okay. For Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
And that was used in a,
Hey, Maddie's in the house. How you doing, Maddie?
that was used with great celebrity in Manhattan at a parking garage that basically pancake collapsed, and they had to send the dog in. But so they had, I believe, an M30T above the incident. They had the dog, but what most people don't know is they also used the Nevada inside that
Okay.
collapse.
I didn't realize
Okay,
that. Yeah.
yeah, with some tactical lights on it,
Okay.
so
Yep.
they could find ways for the dog to get into certain spots. So it's a full spectrum approach. And again, they
Good.
respond. They're flying probably close to 5-6 times a day at incidents. That's how busy they are.
That's good. We have another question though, Tom, and you answered that one thoroughly. And but John Flynn, he says, "Have you shot many photos with your new Air 3?" And he wants to know your impressions.
Ray, I'll turn around and let's see. I'm going to share a screen with you
Okay. Yeah.
if I can.
Good. You know how
Okay,
to
one
do that.
second. I'm attempting it. We'll put it that way. Okay. Let's see. There
I
we
know I've
go.
seen other reviewers, and they're oh, there it is. That looks good to
So
me.
this is a 3-shot AEB from the Mavic Air 3 shot yesterday. This is along the ridge of Calico Range right here. I'm looking into Red Rock Canyon from there. I'm about we'll put it at close to 1,150 feet up above my takeoff location. And for those of you that want to be the drone police, I'll stop you now. I was within
Yeah.
100 feet of that ridge, and I actually maintained the 100-foot distance going up that ridge. And as a Part 107 pilot, I still had another 300 feet to go before I ran askew of the law. Okay, so
There you
uh,
go.
this is again a 3-shot AEB taken in normal,
Beautiful shot.
and I merged it in Lightroom. Okay. So, very capable cameras on this drone, or sensors on this drone. The SAC sensor array really, I think, makes a huge difference on this drone. Really
Yeah,
does.
sure. No, that's a great photo. That's for sure. All right. And if you have any others, feel free to put them up and we'll share them.
Well, I went ahead and I threw up a 360 image. Uh, so I did shoot a 360 pano with it. That again, the technology blows me away, Ray.
Right.
It's
No, it does.
I really enjoy the heck out of it because you can really flex some muscle with this
Steve,
drone.
Steve, I missed the comment. I was going to highlight it, but it passed already. But Steve, South Florida Drone Services, is upset about the fact that they can't fly DJI drones in Florida. The fire
Yeah,
department, police
yeah,
department,
it's pretty sad because
and I totally agree, Steve.
It's not the nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. Okay.
Politics,
So basically, some pimp lobbyist got a Department of Defense Army consultant to turn around and say they were concerned about data leakage. Okay, of course, that lobbyist had nothing to gain from that, right? Bullshit. So sorry, Ray. But
no.
basically, that caused nothing but problems,
You
and
tell it like it is, and it's true.
those problems are manifesting itself in things like wildfires.
Hey,
Okay,
Joel, how you doing?
the Department of Interior had to ground thousands of DJI drones
I
that
know.
they were using for forestation surveys. And as a result of a lack of those surveys, because you can't accomplish a fraction of that on the ground, okay, with human interface, you need the drones. And that caused nothing but heartache, especially out here in the West, with the amount of acreage that was lost and the property and lives that were lost.
Right,
Now you couple that with this nonsense that these blue UASs are going to come to our rescue, and the fact is, a lot of first responders don't even want to carry them because they're not dependable and they're not necessarily safe,
right.
and it's 3 to 4 times the cost.
Yeah.
One thing we were able to prove, I worked with NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology,
Hmm.
out of Gaithersburg, Maryland, and New Steel, which is the National Lab for Department of Homeland Security, did studies that proved there was no data leakage, no
No.
substantiated data leakage. In fact, groups like first responders use products like Drone Deploy and as part of the Drone Responder Network, where you encapsulate all that data. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not transmitted outside the CONUS. It never goes to servers outside the continental U.S.
Well, you never know.
So it's
Hopefully,
sad.
hopefully
It's sad.
they'll come to their senses and maybe rescind it.
Well,
I like
again,
to try to think positive.
if what this, we globalized our economy a long time ago, Ray. To turn around and say these blue UAS drones don't have any Chinese components in them is a pretty far stretch. Okay, that's first. Secondly, you have a life-saving product here. It's already proven itself.
Right.
Okay, now you're taking it away from departments like down in Florida. They had to everything sitting on a shelf collecting dust.
Crazy.
Okay, when
Absolutely
you when
crazy.
you have when you have an elderly member of the community suffering from dementia and just wanders off,
Hmm.
the difference in finding that person within a few hours versus a few days is life and death.
Exactly.
Okay, and I was fortunate that Bob Dempsey out here, Bob Dempsey, aka the grandpapa of old farts with drones. Okay, he asked me to testify in front of the Nevada subcommittee that
I
again
remember
was
you said
was
that. Yeah.
promoting grounding DJI drones. Okay, and that unfortunately is needless and life threatening. So this community needs to speak out. This community needs to be vocal. When I say this community, it's a joint community of both recreational and commercial flyers. Okay, it's a collective. Now, listen, we can talk about the advantages of that DJI has because they're backed, well, let's say, by the
How you
Chinese
doing,
government and
Chris?
all. Our problem here in this country is we don't invest in STEM education. We don't invest in the technologies we need to, and that's something we need to do.
Hi,
Okay, and
Lisa.
I'm not going to get political on it. I'm
No.
just saying we got to put our efforts. If you want these blue UAS companies to have a leg up, don't exclude the competition. How about awarding them grants for research so that they can find better ways, more innovative ways, okay, to skin the same cat? Instead of saying the advantage we're going to give is we're going to wipe the field of any competition, even if that competition has you blown away by 10 years, we're going to just sweep it off because, the greater good is that you get the job instead of who actually needs that product in their hands. So,
Right.
That's I'll limit my political discussion
All
to that.
right. Yeah, we'll switch it to a better topic because I know you're a fantastic Avata pilot now, and I have your Avata flight that you recently did at what a location queued up. So I think we'll show that now, if you don't mind, Tom,
Sure.
because I was so impressed when I watched it, and I mean the scenery out there in Prescott was amazing. So maybe you can narrate over this one.
Oh, so this is Watson Lake in Prescott, Arizona. You got to say it right, Ray. Prescott, like Kit. Okay.
Okay.
But I was fortunate to go hang out with Greg and team from Pilot Institute. I got to visit their facility. Really nice place, and he's got a great group of people too. And it was Greg who turned me on to this spot. I mean, this spot is just off the hook, Ray. Just amazing. And Greg told me they take all their drones out here. This is where they test them and fly.
This is some place to fly. It is cool. And your flight, let's talk about your flight. You really have mastered the Avata.
And gang, this is with the motion controller too. Okay. So once you get that motion controller tuned properly, your rate set in your Expo, and the ability to use that, hi-hat to maneuver also. What an amazing experience this is. So it's extremely immersive. So I'm sitting on a bench right on the ridge there with my wife. And she just has a ball because she giggles the whole time. Because, so you see me coming close to some of these trees, or
I mean, you're zipping, man.
I'm sitting on the bench lifting my feet. Okay, like that's going to help my flight a little. Okay, that's how damn immersive it is.
Very, very cool, though. It is. Really. So you like the Avata, needless to say.
The Avata is an adventure every time you take it out, right? Okay. And again, with those goggles, the only wish I had for the Air 3 was with the RC2 that they would have made the screen a bit brighter, especially where I'm flying. It's nothing but blue sky all the time and sun. So being able to fly with the goggles is just a great experience because you can focus so well.
Very, very cool, Tom. Really. I knew the viewers would be very impressed with that flight. Really. Because I was holding on to my chair when I was watching it.
And like I said, I'm lifting my feet and making sounds as I'm flying, and my wife is just giggling, sitting next to me. So my wife is my visual observer, and as I've said before, the great thing about Roz being my visual observer is she can't testify against me in court. So it really works out
cool.
Well,
that's cool. But listen, I do have a little format, and I do give a tip of the week. And I know I gave this tip already not too long ago, but the tip for this week is don't forget to check your batteries for swelling. Tom, have you ever had batteries that swelled up on you?
Yeah, unfortunately, Ray, it happened, and to the point
especially with this heat, right?
I had to fly. I really had to fight with DJI, and it was on the Mavic 2 Pro, okay, where once I almost lost the drone. Luckily, I was only 20 feet above the ground. The battery swelled, and the latches disconnected.
Yep.
Okay. And the drone stayed in midair for a split second, unfortunately longer than the drone did because the drone disconnected and came straight down. So I actually fought with DJI. They said, oh, well, you've had the batteries too long. And I said, well, look at my cycle rate. All 4 batteries are just matched perfectly. Mm-hmm. So I'm not using one battery more than another. And why are all 4 of them swelling? So luckily, DJI finally got around to reimbursing me for 4 batteries. And we all know these damn batteries aren't cheap.
No, I know.
But you got to, there's certain things.
I had my Phantom 4, some of
Yeah.
those batteries swelled up.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah. On the Phantom,
recently,
we
my
got
Air
swollen.
2S
Yeah.
batteries have swelled up down in
Yeah.
Florida.
And the big
Anyway,
problem there is you know, we
hey
have a
Brad, how you doing?
tendency of wanting to throw those batteries right back on the charger. You know, you see people come out with their little eco flows and their little jackery battery chargers.
Have a good
And
night, Mike.
the problem is you got to let those batteries cool off
Exactly.
before you throw them on a charge. And the other thing is, you know, the battery technology is getting a lot more intelligent. And the nice thing is, like on the Air 3 here, these are smart batteries. So if I have them charged and I don't go out for a day and a half, they're going to start to bring themselves down to a storage rate. Also, don't store them like here. I can't store my batteries in my garage because my garage is not air conditioned out here. Okay.
Okay.
It would
Right.
be like turning on the oven to 200 degrees and storing them in there. So,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta treat them with respect.
And Bud Beaver had issues, and Mad Props had issues. Yeah. And I know Al from South Florida Drone Flyers, he just replaced his Mini 2 batteries. They swelled up
Yeah.
on him. So, but listen, I do feature usually a viewer video too, Tom. So let me take the
Excellent.
time to share Alan's video, Drone Views Media, over in Ireland. Have you ever been to Ireland, Tom?
Isn't it amazing, Ray? Yes, we went a few years ago, the wife and I. Just an
It's a
amazing.
beautiful country, isn't it?
First off, it is the greenest place you're going to find.
Here's Alan's. I mean, Alan puts out amazing videos, really, and he flies the Mini 3 Pro over there in Ireland. But his editing is incredible. His flying is incredible, and look how beautiful that is. And I love his soundtracks too, by the way. He encompasses different areas in his videos. And myself, I don't usually do that. You know, if I make a video, it's usually the area I choose to fly. But he encompasses a bunch of areas, and I find it very interesting. And then he puts up the name of where he's at.
Yeah.
And that's great, Alan. Really. Kudos to you.
It's a real nice travel log, you know, when especially if you're going to go over there, you got to check out his videos. Okay.
I know. I really been saying I want to
spots.
get back over there.
Yeah.
I've been over there a couple times.
Yeah.
But look at this shot going by this tower right here.
Yeah.
Very, very cool, Alan. Beautiful. And I'm hoping to have Alan on in the near future as a guest. So hopefully we can schedule him. But anyway. So Tom, I'm telling you, Tom, the hour just flies by. It's amazing. And
always a good time, right?
I also got to do my little contest that I do, and you don't know what the lucky number is, so we got to put in the lucky number for the monthly giveaway, which is a $10 Amazon gift card. So if you can type it in, if you can't type it in, say a number, and you don't know what it is, between 1 and 50, guys, and I'll keep an eye out for it, and hopefully somebody will get it before the show ends. But I'm looking, and look at this. Look at the way the numbers start coming in. And I usually miss it, Tom. So up, I do see it. I do see it, though. All right. Somebody did get it. And it was Maddie. It was number 25, just to let you know. I think he got
Maddie
it first.
World.
Yep. So, see, this is my little cheat sheet, Tom. But anyway, congratulations, Maddie. Your name will go in for the
Maddie.
monthly giveaway. And I'll double check it to make sure I called it right. Usually I blow it and I miss it. But Tom, listen, thank you for being a guest tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I know it's
Ray, it was my pleasure, Ray.
But now's the time to say your goodbyes and anything you would like to promote.
Well, one thing I want to promote is Fly for Fun this week. Okay. Not only do you see my face again, but you're going to see the leprechaun of the Las Vegas Valley. Okay. Bob Dempsey. he'll be on with Ray and Johnny.
7
Hopefully
p.m.
we can.
Wednesday.
Hopefully we can talk about a Las Vegas meetup.
Right.
So stay tuned and definitely check in on that. And just to get a chance, go up to my channel and LensCaptureOnline and watch our little adventures and escapades. And that's what it's all about at this point in my life, is just getting out there and enjoying myself. And I enjoy the heck out of everyone's videos. I'm a sponge when it comes to YouTube. I just enjoy the heck out of it. And
Well,
again,
that's the
thanks,
big
Ray.
thing, like I say, this drone community has changed my life drastically. I didn't do it professionally like you. I fly for fun. I'm still taking that pilot institute course, but I don't want to come out of retirement, Tom. I'm having just too much fun in
It's too much
retirement.
fun being retired, Ray. Too much fun, man. Why'd
But
we put it off so long, Ray?
I gotta say thank you again for being on, and it's always a
Thank you.
pleasure. And hopefully we will fly together in person again soon. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out. And again, don't forget, tonight we got Drone Nation at 9 p.m. and the Grumpy Vlogger at 8. I don't know who's going on at 7. The schedule has sort of changed. But I know Pilot Institute is also doing a live stream on Mondays, a Q&A type of live stream. So check it out, and we'll see you again next week. And Tom, if you want to stay in the back room, and we'll have some more shrimp and lobster, and
There you go.
we'll see you guys.